The extravagant Broadway musical Le Cargo Fall is showing at ASU Gamage this week. It's all part of the Broadway Across America series, and it'll be here in the Valley up until this Sunday, May 20th. And to tell us a little more about the show is its star itself, George Hamilton. And in true George Hamilton fashion, instead of being under lights in a stuffy studio, we are poolside under a hot Phoenix sun. Thanks for being here, George.
Thank you. It's about as close as I've gotten to any sunlight. I mean, I didn't realize that touring with this show that I would be out of the sun most of the time. Even when I have a chance like today, there's always something to do. We really, this is like 20 some odd performances, and I've only been out of 3, and that's over 7 months. And we travel on a day off. It's an endurance contest. I've learned a lot from it, but I started out with a torn Achilles and on the first performance, and the doctor said, "There's no way you're going to make it through this I'll see you when it gets operated on." And I went and saw football, coaches, and he said, "Well, we have guys that have this, and they play for the season, and we get it wrapped." So I've had it wrapped for every show I've done. I did a Western, and an old cowboy was my wrangler on the show, and I tore my Achilles, the other one, playing tennis, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about that." I said, "Well, it's torn." The doctor said, "Oh, no." He said, just put on a cowboy boot and some saran wrap inside, and you'll be fine." And it healed. Just took the pressure right off it. So
Your co-star, Christopher Sieber, and I know you've sung his praises before, he's actually played your role on Broadway, and I was wondering, in the early days of the tour, as he knows both roles so well, was there ever that moment when he stood on stage, you blanked, and he at the side of his mouth was sort of your on-stage prompt and helped you out?
That's about every night. I love it that he did play it. There's one giant temptation that comes from an actor who's played your role. He wants to tell you not to go through the process of trying to discover the character when he can make it just easy for you and say, just say it this way. But Chris has been very good about that. He lets me struggle my own way. When I forget a line, I just go la da 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 da. So Chris and I have gotten along pretty good because he has steel nerves. Nothing bothers him. But I, from time to time, thinking, I know this line, but who says it?
I'd heard this rumor that, at the end of the show you have to kiss Alban, which is Christopher's role, but you have a little kind of theatrical trick. Are you willing to tell us what it is, or is it really something that you shouldn't say?
Where did you hear about this? It is the little theatrical trick, but my son was the one who, I came to he's in military school, in Naval Academy in Tampa. He's 12 years old, and he said, "Dad, do you kiss that fella?" And I said, "Well, why are you asking?" He said, "Well, some of my classmates want to know if you're kissing that fella." I said, "I have a trick." He said, "What's the trick?" I said, "Well, when I put my hand up, I put my finger right here out of the mouth." He said, "I knew it. I knew that's what you did." I told him that. But every night I try to demonstrate a different kiss. Having been under contract to MGM, I'd say, "Now, watch out, tonight's Clark Gable." So Chris gets ready for Clark Gable. He said, "I thought that was Clark Gable." I said, "No, it was Mickey Rooney."
Have you been to an area where perhaps the subject or the way it is in the show surprised the people, or maybe surprised you of their reaction to it?
No, it's amazing. What I was told about it being edgy hasn't been. I mean, I see more 85-year-old blue-haired ladies down front throwing their panties at me than I do see a gay audience. But gay audience, I think, were there very strongly when it was the anthem, and they still are supportive, and it's a rallying point. But at the same time, it's strange because my audience has aged with me, and people come, and I asked this one lady, she was 95 the other night, and she got up out of her wheelchair to give me a hug, and I said, "So what did you think of the show?" And she said, "I just loved it, and it didn't bother me at all that 2 sweet boys were kissing."